Hey, Mark Rodriguez here. You're watching the Diving Cutter Wrestling Podcast, which is known as America's number two best cure for insomnia. And with us are.
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
And Wendy, you want to do the thing even though you're off screen?
Rodriguez.
There we go.
Johnny Rodriguez.
All right, guys, we've been taking a break here and there from AEWs and the pay-per-views and whatnots, but the AEW Forbidden Door 2026 did seem a bit interesting, so we checked it out, and today we're going to be talking about that. But real quick, there's any wrestling news that you might know of, Mr. Jack? I do know that as of yesterday's episode of Dynamite, what was her name? Hikaru Shida became the new TBS champion, so that's kind of cool. Willow had to relinquish because she had some kind of injury, so they had to, the usual tournaments that Tony Khan loves so much. And yeah, Hikaru Shida won, so that's pretty cool. Any other things there, Jack?
There's a lot of different things happening all at the same time. It's beginning of tournament season, which is my favorite time of year. So the G1 Climax and the 5-Star Grand Prix, which are New Japan and New Japan and Stardom's biggest tournaments of the year. It's a round robin tournament similar to the Continental Classic, is basically just a ripoff of that. But the winner being basically the number one contender for the top show of their respective promotions. In the G1, there is an AEW representative, which will be Gabe Kidd, so he's going to be in it. There's going to be a bunch of people that are in the tournament, which are going to be great. But the other thing that has happened recently was there is a seemingly shift overhaul over in TNA, where a lot of the talent behind the scenes and the actual show itself is starting to get kind of a pull in a different direction, as they've let go of Tommy Dreamer, and just most recently they got rid of Tommy Dreamer. They've gotten rid of Steve Macklin. They've gotten Mike Santana's contract is up, and so is Eric Young. So Eric Young has apparently, according to the sheets, has been handpicked by Shawn Michaels to be a new head trainer over in NXT, which a head coach in NXT, which I'm like, makes sense. I mean, you need people to help develop characters. Who better than Eric Young? There's that. Most recently, Kendall Gray became the NXT Women's Championship, and probably I've watched all 4 shows that happened this past weekend, which was obviously Forbidden Door. It was Forbidden Door. It was Slammiversary, Night of Champions, and NXT's Great American Bash. And I can safely say the greatest women's match of that show was Kendall versus Levice. That, if there was one match from that show, I highly recommend anyone watching, it's that one, the main event. I mean, outside of the scope of this show. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, it seems like they're. Oh, also the other new thing that's happening in TNA, they also announced that there is, for the first time ever, going to be a new Knockouts television champion. And they're going to Knockouts Women's Television Championship. And they're going to start a tournament there starting this Thursday, which by the time of this is airing, it's the first round will be tonight. It's 16 women, so I assume they're going to do probably cross-promotional thing. I don't know. So whoever will do that will be the inaugural Knockouts television champion. And like I said, it seems like they're shifting more towards a youth perspective, which I'm 100% behind. I feel like anyone whose age starts with a 4 and a 0, unless your job is to help transition the next generation, you should probably be out the door. But that's my opinion. And if your age starts at 5, you shouldn't even be there anymore.
Didn't Tessa get signed up somewhere? Some other wrestling company or something?
Yes, Tessa Blanchard was the other person who she requested her release, and she signed up with CMLL. So now she's in CMLL with their promotion because basically, from what I've heard, they're basically going to book her more, because Tessa was kind of just like a random on-stage villain, but she wasn't like the top women's villain. So right now, it seems like the top women villains are the Elegance brand, which is Ash by Elegance and her group, but A second, close second is Zaya Brookside, and then third is probably what's her name? Elena Black. So she's also a good. They've been using her pretty well too right now.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all the news I got so far. So far, that's all I got.
All right. So yeah, so we're gonna start the show here, and let me get my listings real quick. And as you guys can tell, we haven't been doing these, so we have no predictions or no nothing. We're just going to go in there. So starting off with what they call the buy-in show, we had 3 buy-in matches, and they're pretty cool. They all had like cool guests and everything. The first match was Drilla Maloney versus Daniel Garcia. And yeah, decent match. I haven't really seen Daniel in the one-on-one in a while, and it was one-on-one. The what do you call it? The Death Riders were kind of there just to usher him in, but then they left, so there was no interference, no shenanigans. It was a decent match. At this point, I think we were basically getting our stuff ready. We ordered some pizza, some wings, so we were kind of preoccupied with that and everything. But I remember it was a pretty decent match for what it was and everything. And it's good to see Garcia, do his thing on his own and not with all the other, all the things.
Yeah, Drilla Maloney just recently became a heavyweight. So he was a junior, now he's officially a heavyweight. So this G1 will be his first one that he's ever in. So yeah, I'm glad that they used him properly. I think he did really well, getting to show off his skills and represent New Japan really well with Unbound Co. Yeah, I like the match. What'd you think, Johnny?
I like the match too. I don't remember like 100% about the matchup, but I did remember Drilla Maloney to be quite a wrestler, quite a powerhouse actually, quite a heavy hitter. And yeah, as much as I like Daniel Garcia, I mean, he just was no match against Drilla Maloney. I mean, his skills are phenomenal. So I pretty much enjoyed the match. And in terms of Daniel Garcia, I don't know what they're doing with him because I just gained the impression that he's losing more and more often. So it's kind of like not really a good look on
like they
him.
don't really know what they're doing with him either. Like I think they
Yeah.
don't even know what to do with him. I think half the time they forget he's there.
Yeah,
And it doesn't help that he's a
kinda-
very it doesn't help that he's very kind of generic, that he doesn't have too much personality other than his dancing. He doesn't
Which he
really
doesn't even do anymore, so really he's got nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a persona per se.
I mean, the thing
Yeah.
is, the most he had going was the like, will he, won't he join the Death Riders? I don't know why I keep forgetting their names, but now he's one of them. He just became another nameless stooge in the background. He's almost like not as bad as Wheeler Yuta, but kind of there.
Oh, I got a lot to say about the Death Riders, but I'll get to that later.
Oh boy.
Because some stuff's going on with them in Japan,
Oh,
which don't make any sense because it's like contradictory to AEW. But
bro, what has ever
I get-
stopped Tony?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So next one we had was Sky Blue going up against Micah. It's a TBS Championship Survival of the Fittest qualifying match. So basically, I guess if Micah either wins or pins her or something, I forgot the rules for this one. But basically, no, wait a minute. Oh, I see.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right. You're right. It was a qualifier for. I guess they're doing a 6-way fight for the TBS title.
Ah, I see. That's the one that Hikaru Shida ended up winning in the long run. So
Yeah.
So once again, it was pretty cool in the way that Sky Blue came in, and there was no cheating from like Julia Hart or Thekla. She got to go on her own. And I don't remember the last time I've seen her in a one-on-one match. I think it's usually tag matches with Julia Hart and stuff. So or she's just in the background helping Thekla cheat. So it was cool to see her back in a one-on-one match. Micah's pretty cool. She had a cool look and style and everything, and they had some good moves and like holds and things like that. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty decent match there.
Yeah, Micah is I think she's a Grand Slam in Stardom. Yeah, she's a Grand Slam in Stardom. Former world champion. She's won all the tag team titles. Yeah, her whole style is that she's strong. Like that's her whole thing is like strong style. She's just stronger than almost everyone else in Stardom. I'm glad that they let Micah actually get a spotlight, and I think she made Sky look as good as she could. Obviously, like their skill sets are totally different levels, but I'm glad that they got to actually use Micah proper. I kind of wish she had been more on the main show, but that's neither here nor there. But I thought it was a great match. I thought it was a good way to start. Both the first three matches, all three of the first matches were kind of a great way to start the show.
Yeah, I like this match too. I like Micah. I like her presentation, her fighting style. This is another, heavy hitter. As much as Sky Blue did what she did in the match, I think, she was no match against Micah. And it's just good. I think what this pay-per-view actually did well compared to the previous Forbidden Door is that they actually showcase the talent of the non AEW wrestlers to the max. They did a better job because I think in the other occasions they're just kind of like it felt more like an AEW events more than anything.
Right, and that was the biggest issue that why Yota Tsuji, the current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, that's why he boycotted the thing, because he literally he flat out said straight up like, you as a company do not have respect for us, so why should I, as the top champion of Japan, show you any respect by showing up to the freaking event? And I agree with it. I 100% agree, because he even said, like, pull up the track record of all the stuff. I mean, people forget Tanahashi, when he was still able to go, they had him job to MJF in 7 minutes. People forget that happened, but it did happen. Or how they had the IWGP World Champion when he was the World Champion, Sonata, and he was doing an open challenge. Of all the talent you could have had in AEW challenge him, they picked Jungle Boy.
Oh,
and I'm like, really? I'm like, yep. And then, when your guy had the championship, John Moxley, because this is people a little behind the scenes thing. Moxley got to handpick his opponent for Forbidden Door, and he picked Tetsuya Naito, who literally 3 months prior had been declared legally blind and had to get a full knee replacement surgery.
Oh, Jesus.
On both knees. So he deliberately chose a guy who was already not good to go, just so that way he could make himself look good. Yeah. Now, if he'd gone to get Zack Saber Jr., he would have gotten his ass kicked. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, rant over.
Another thing too, I was telling Wendy like about like if the show's even interesting anymore. Because the bad thing is that by now, a lot of the people like Takeshita and Okada and all them, they're like WWE. I'm sorry, they're AEW guys now. They're no longer like the guest stars and that kind of thing. But then when I saw the pre-show, I did see that Micah was there. I'm like, oh, I never heard of her. And they got Olympia there, and they got the other match coming up later on with Starlight Kid and Maya World and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of interesting here. We got a couple of people that aren't the usual, so let's check that out.
Because that's how Forbidden Door was originally pitched. Was supposed to be, hey, this is an opportunity to show off some other talent and help them get over with our audience, and our talent getting over working with them. Instead, it became, hey, let's get your toys to get their ass kicked by our toys. And I'm like, who wants to see that? Like, no one wants to see that shit. I'm like, it's so dumb. And then, like, now, this is the final Forbidden Door with New Japan. So it's even dumber that you're suddenly now showing them respect.
Did they officially say that, though? Like, it is, like, the final one with New Japan?
Yeah, basically, because New Japan now is owned by Cyberfight. So as of next year, New Japan is owned by Cyberfight, not Bushiroad. So they have, and the people who own Cyberfight own Pro Wrestling Noah. And since Pro Wrestling Noah has a working relationship with WWE,
oh, I see.
They ain't gonna let them work with them anymore.
Oh, wow.
But see, Stardom is still owned by Bushiroad, so Stardom will probably still have a working relationship. That's also why this last kind of other thing that happened 2 weeks ago on Ring of Honor, they had their Global Wars event. Global
Yeah.
Wars was the first ever crossover show that they created with New Japan. It was originally created with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then they had other promotions crossing over. But it started with the relationship with Ring of Honor and New Japan. This past one that just happened, Global Wars, is the first time they ever did a Global Wars that had no New Japan. It literally didn't have New Japan's symbol on the banner. It didn't say New Japan. It didn't mention New Japan. It just had CMLL and Stardom, and that was it. I'm like, that's probably what's going to happen with Forbidden Door. And y'all can get all bitter as you want, but New Japan has way more draw internationally than CMLL ever does.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So there's one hell of a podcast that we're reviewing, like the final Forbidden Door that has New Japan Pro Wrestling involved.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the third match we had for the buy-in, unfortunately, the much to Wendy's is made. There was no Fat Kid number one and no Fat Kid number two. The match is Divine Dominion, which is Megan Bayne and Lena Cross, going up against Thunder Rosa. I haven't seen her in a while, and Olympia. Tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which of course the Divine Dominion are the current tag team champs. And yeah, I enjoyed the fight. It was pretty cool. I like Lena Cross's look and everything with the purplish hair. It's good to see Thunder Rosa again. I haven't seen her in a while and everything. And yeah, it was a pretty decent match. I remember being entertained by it, but I don't remember too much of like actual spots or anything. But I did like to see Thunder Rosa back in the ring. We haven't seen her. I don't think we've seen her in an actual AEW pay-per-view in a good long while. I mean, she makes appearances once in a while on the show and maybe like on Collision or Ring of Honor, but I don't think she's been in an AEW pay-per-view. And even then, it's like just a pre-show. But
She's been doing everything minus wrestling. It's kind of sad. Like for AEW, like it's funny because she's contracted to AEW, but she's barely ever wrestles there. Like I've seen apparently, like someone pointed out that she has wrestled like 30 times in the past year, with and 25 times has been with Ring of Honor, and I'm like, wow, that's sad.
The thing about her also is that she sometimes appears as those like, like those one-time challengers. There's a champ, and all of a sudden, so-and-so comes, I'm gonna challenge you for the belt, but it's not an actual feud. It's just they're challenging. They'll appear once or twice. The actual match happens, they lose, they vanish, and everything. So she's been doing that sometimes.
It's like, I challenge you, insert title here. You're going down, insert name here. Like that's like that. We know you weren't planning this shit. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I haven't seen much of Olympia. She was the main reason I was kind of intrigued. I'm like, okay, she's pretty
too.
good. I kind of like her style. It's very crisp. Shura's kind of either stick to ground mat wrestling or they're either just ground mat wrestling or they're kind of more like maybe occasionally in a crowd, but don't see that many do styles. But I liked the way it was. I thought it was a pretty decent match. What'd you think, Johnny?
I like the match, and concerning Thunder Rosa, didn't she just signed up a contract with CMLL? Oh, what's the name of that wrestling?
CMLL.
CMLL. No, you got it right.
The CMLL.
Hello?
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right the first time, Johnny.
So I think she just signed a contract with them. So it looks more like she's more with them than with AEW. So I don't know how I feel about that. I think that just like with Daniel Garcia, they kind of like don't know what to do with Thunder Rosa as well. And I think she just way too far apart AEW, especially if she signed a contract with CMLL. She's probably going to be more with them anyways, Which, hey, it's good for her anyways, right? I like the I've seen a little bit of the CMLL matches here and there. So one time I did saw like a match with Olympia. So when I saw that Olympia's going to be in this pay-per-view, it's like I'm watching it. I'm watching this. It was a really good match. It was cool seeing Thunder Rosa and Olympia as a tag team. And Megan Bayne, Elena Cross. Oh my God, they're lethal. They're deadly. They're like I think they were really like beating the shit out of Thunder Rosa and Olympia. So it was a good match overall. It was an entertaining match. I just personally wish Thunder Rosa would just have a better promotion overall because I feel like either she's not too passionate about wrestling to that degree, with AEW, or it's AEW, they're not passionate with Thunder Rosa, and it's probably both things at the same time at this point. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yep, that was a pretty good match, and that was like for the pre-show. And this
Mm.
is one of the times where I actually cared a lot about the pre-show because of the extra people that we don't normally see. So that was pretty cool because sometimes, it's just like, the pre-show's whatever, we don't care, or that's when we're getting our food or our guests are coming or whatever. So we kind of block it out, we kind of forget. In Johnny's case, he's probably still rushing home from work, stuff like that. But in this case, like with these extra people, it was exciting. I was interested to actually see the pre-show editing. That was pretty good. So now to start the show proper, the first official match we got here is the Young Bucks, which of course, man, Nick Jackson, going up against the El Sky team, which is Mystico and Mascara Dorada, and Unbound Company, which is Shingo Takagi and Titan, and it's a three-way tag team match. And of course, that is your required flippy shit of the evening. Lots of flipping around, lots of tope suicidas, and all that kind of stuff. And lots of super kick parties. I guess by now we're supposed to like the Young Bucks again. They're no longer heels. They're no longer like corporate or whatever the fuck they were. Oh, what was it? They're no longer EVPs and all that. And yeah, it was a pretty good match. It was entertaining and stuff. I do like seeing the other people's styles and everything. I always like seeing the luchadors and all that. And in the end, the Young Bucks did win. So there you go. But it was a pretty good match. It wasn't, it was a close one for all three teams. So it was pretty good.
My issue I had with the match was when it was El Sky and it was Unbound Co. It seemed like a very cohesive and flowing, like pretty quick paced match. But as soon as the Bucks came back in the match, it felt like they had to slow down everything, and it just really freaking irritated me because I'm like, because you could tell, obviously the Bucks can't do all the crazy, like quick paced shit they used to do. I'm like, ironically, they're called the Young Bucks, and they can't do the young shit they used to do. So, but I don't know. I mean, like it was okay. I thought it was fine. I just felt like it was a lot of a kind of a cluster. It wasn't too bad though. But I thought it was okay. What'd you think, Johnny?
I liked everything about the match except for the fact that the Young Bucks are in it. Like you have all these talented wrestlers. You have a Mystico, you have Mascara Dorada, you have Shingo Takachi, I'm sorry, and Titan,
Doggy.
and you have the Young Bucks in there. Like what?
Yeah,
they don't belong in
and
that
Shingo and Mystico are such a Shingo and Titan are like such vast different styles. But like that's the thing is like when you already got Mystico and then you have Mystico and then you have all these other guys, you're like it's so funny just because Shingo, like the dragon just stakes out like a sore thumb because he's like, I don't do flippy shit. It's like he just slaughtered half of them, which I love. But I would have loved to have seen oh god, who is it? I think it would have been better to have Oh God, who's that one tag team? Are they still around? Private Party? Are Private Party still around?
I don't know.
Like this would have been a great match for them to be in if
Is there
they still
anything
work there.
does the Private Party, if anything, don't they fight more like on the Ring of Honor Fight Club?
Well, I mean, even still, you could have had like some
Yeah.
Ring of Honor representative. That
Yeah.
would have been cool. Because like
But
I think it would have been cool to have some Ring of Honor representation in this kind of a match. Like, because this is another thing that irritates me about Forbidden Door. And I get it; it's an AEW show. I get that. But just because it's an AEW show does not mean every match has to have someone representing AEW. Does that make sense? Like, if you had just had, like, good example. Okay, here's a perfect example. If you had, for example, like, not Bandito fighting Moxley, but if you had instead had Bandito fighting Shota Umino, that would have been an amazing match. Because they're totally different styles, but they're like representing different brands. Like one's Ring of Honor, one's New Japan, totally different. Or had like Bandito versus a guy from CMLL or whoever. Like that would have been cool. Like okay, like you don't need to have AEW represented every match, but I get it. It's an AEW show.
and
Whatever.
especially not the Young Bucks. Like if they're gonna represent AEW, any wrestler at this point would be better than
The Bucks.
the Young Bucks. And yeah,
It's like that one joke. That joke I'm always saying. Where it's that joke I'm always saying. They're the greatest. Just ask them.
And what a disappointment they won the match. So that's the only downside of this match. Other than that, I like seeing everybody else kicking ass and doing all the flippy shit the right way.
So a little backstory just to give you guys. So Unbound Company is actually what was left of Bullet Club and what was left of LIJ. And then they just combined them into two and became Unbound Co. So that's basically what Unbound Co is. Because they disbanded Bullet Club and they disbanded LIJ. So they just kind of just put them both together. And then the top villains of... That's another thing. The top villains, I'm like, I wanted to see... If you really wanted to do a real crossover, if they weren't... I know they're not in a working relationship with New Japan anymore after this year, but I'm like, have the dumbass Death Riders versus the House of Torture. House of Torture would freaking destroy them. They'll just like, it's like Death Riders like, oh no, we're gonna gang up on you in our motorcycles, and then the freaking House of Torture's like, I'm gonna beat you sideways with a pull-up bar, and he's gonna beat you with a wrench, and he's gonna choke you out with a garrote wire. And then Fale's just going to smash your body, you know, for fun. Like, just like, woo. That's the other thing. Like, the Death Riders come off less like a threatening gang and more like... they come off more like old dads who go up to these teens that have like a rock shirts like, you don't know real music. I was there in 78 with the... You're like,
oh my God.
Okay, you're going to have to leave, sir. Like the dads who are like wearing a leather jacket and trying to intimidate their daughter's boyfriend. And then like, as soon as he gets up from his chair, you hear his knees buckle.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, I'm happy Yoda Tsuji didn't show up because I think he would have really got lost in the sauce in this show. I really think they wouldn't have known what the hell to do with him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I don't know where we would place him. The other thing I was going to say, I'll bring this up later with Mark, but it's so true. You have to remember, watching the audience, there was Collision filmed, then The Buy-In, then Forbidden Door. So that's 8 straight hours of those people sitting there And that's why, like, halfway into the first hour or like the second hour, you could tell the audience are like, they're so out of it. I'm like, they need to give you some smelling salts to go with your popcorn. Damn. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I love wrestling, but even I'd be like, I gotta take a break. This is taking a bit. Oh, okay. So the next match is Kenny Omega versus Zack Saber Jr. So weirdly enough, I don't believe they fought that many times prior to this match. Saber kind of focused more on the tag team division when Kenny was thriving on his singles run. And Kenny, Saber didn't really get a good stride in his singles run until after Kenny left. But as you know, Saber is still considered the best technical wrestler on the planet, and Kenny was one of the greatest wrestlers, and now he's not bad. He's just, I think he's really slowed down, like really slowed down his pace. It's kind of, you know what it feels like? It feels like imagine like a regular car having like the outer body of a NASCAR car. And it's like, and he's like, I could get on the speedway, and it's like, no. No, you can't. Stop it. Honestly, the pacing of this match, I thought was smart to have Saber fight him, because Saber is very good at pacing. He's very good at technical ground mat wrestling. Obviously, he's the best technical wrestler on the planet. And I think he really covered a lot of Kenny's weaknesses, primarily his biggest one, which used to be his speed. His biggest strength was his speed, but now that he can't do his speed anymore, it kind of made the shortcomings like kind of get overshadowed. With Saber like locking him down, there was a lot of really good grappling. Kenny, of course, when it came to striking, he's better at. They're kind of like similar, but I know he hit Saber a couple times with the V trigger. There was a really cool spot where he was setting up him to do a one-winged angel off the top rope, and then like Saber reversed it into a chokehold, which I'm like, yes, like, so, because I always make the joke that wrestling Saber is like trying to wrestle Gumby. He's just like, it's like trying to strangle a pool noodle. He's just so lanky and quick. But I thought it was a great match. I thought it was a good match. I'm happy Kenny. I'm happy Kenny won. But again, I do think that Kenny, like I said, I don't. I think his kind of time in the main event sort of bubble is kind of done. Whether that means he's going to wrestle anymore, I don't know. But it's clear watching that match, his body has not kept up to pace with his look. Has not kept up. His look is different, but his actual ability of like the endurance that he was so well known for has kind of escaped him over time with his injuries and surgeries and stuff. But I do think it was a great match, and I thought it was a pretty well paced match. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, it was pretty good, but like you said, I did notice, he's a bit slower down a little bit compared to before and stuff like that. I'm just glad they stopped beating us over the head with the whole thing with the, what is it, the diverculitis, repeating it over and over and over. That yes, we know, and I'm glad they didn't go with that story. They didn't have what's his name?
Saber.
Was it Shota? Oh, Saber. They didn't have Saber like attack the stomach a lot. Oh, one thing I did want to say though, one thing I noticed about the match that was kind of whatever at the beginning at first, like mostly like the first half. Kenny Omega was dominating most of the match. And Zack
Yeah.
Saber either didn't do much or was just like surviving, just hanging on, just, kicking out and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, okay, so this is very like one-sided, and it's supposed to, because it's still Zack Saber Jr. I've seen enough of his matches and his guest appearances to know that he's supposed to be a big deal. He's in Fire Pro Wrestling. He's got to be a big deal if he's in Fire Pro Wrestling. And I was just like, so who did he piss off at the back office? You know what I mean? But then later, second half of the match, then he started doing more stuff. Kenny got in trouble. It became more even, more once, either side could win and that kind of stuff. But for the first half of the match, I was like, whoa, like, they fly him out here to Forbidden Door and he's just taken down like a bitch. Like, I don't know. So I'm glad that picked up later. But I did feel
I was getting frustrated
weird.
with it. I was getting frustrated with it too. I was also thinking like, I'm like, is he biding his time? Is that what he's doing? Like, I'm thinking maybe he's biding his time because that's a Suzuki move. That's what Suzuki used to do, and he used to be in Suzuki-gun. So I was thinking maybe he's pulling a Suzuki where Suzuki's like, okay, all right, and now, like that's what I was expecting him to do, and he kind of did to a point. But yeah, I think it was more of like they wanted to make Kenny look stronger, which they did. I think they succeeded in that front. I know that they added that dumb stipulation to on Dynamite with Kenny. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No, what was it?
So at the end, I think near the end of the show, spoiler for Dynamite, Kenny challenged MJF for the title after Briscoe, I guess, because I guess he beat Briscoe. I think he beat Briscoe, and then after the thing, like Kenny came out and saying he wants a shot at the title to MJF and all this stuff, and MJF did the Cody clause, as I call it, and he's like, "All right, but if you lose, never again." And I'm like, "Bitch, you've been doing this. This is so stupid. It has not benefited anyone. It is the first you did it with Cody, now you did it with Hangman, now you're gonna do it with Kenny. This is just stupid. Like, what is the end goal here? Like, I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, so does that mean Kenny's gonna retire? And then I saw this one comment that made me laugh my ass off after the segment, and it was on the comments. It goes, "Oh, this means that Kenny could go in the Hall of Fame." I'm like, what Hall of Fame? Your company's been around for 6 years. You don't get a Hall of Fame. You've had a company less time than most people have had rentals. Like, shut the hell up.
Oh God.
I'm just like, you can't be like, oh, they deserve a Hall of Fame. I'm like, get to the decade point, then tell me about Hall of Fames.
Well, look at the bright side. At least if AEW does the Hall of Fame, at least we know Tony Khan has the funding to make an actual Hall of Fame, an actual museum you can go to and see all the titles and statues and stuff like that. Because the WWE Hall of Fame, as much as everyone talks about it, it only exists in Vince's head. There is no actual place you can go and see
They basically just kind of made like somewhat Fanatics Fest, I guess, was partly like, I guess it's kind of like an exhibit, but it's not really an official exhibit. They should make an official exhibit. But let's be honest, knowing Tony Khan's creepy ass, he'd probably be like, yes, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. And by Hall of Fame, I mean my office. Yeah. He's going to have like statues and plaques. Like he's going to be like, yeah. This is a picture of them giving me a hug. You mean I don't get a ring? No, you get a hug.
No, God.
Anyway.
Okay, so
What do you think, Johnny?
About this match, I liked it. Zack Saber Jr., a very phenomenal technical wrestler. I enjoyed watching him in the ring. Kenny Omega, he's still a good wrestler, but he's kind of losing a little bit of his style. I guess he's starting to get a little affected by all the injuries he has had lately. Well, during the years, right? So now I think it is starting to affect his ability a lot more. And basically, I think Zack Saber helps Kenny Omega looks good in the match. But Kenny Omega still won the match anyway, so at least that's a little bit of a redeeming point for Kenny Omega. But yeah, I do notice that yeah, Kenny Omega is kind of like losing a little bit of his shine. It doesn't really wow me that much to watch Kenny Omega match nowadays.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, even without knowing Kenny Omega that much, even without watching his origins, right? His match, when he got famous, uh, even without watching all of that, you still get the impression that, yeah, you know what? I can tell Kenny Omega was probably like 20 times better back in the day.
Mm.
There was a reason people were talking about how his style was like changing the game and revolutionary, because he was basically like, I'm trying to think what I can compare him to.
Wasn't
His
Ospreay
speed,
the new Omega, give or take?
kind of. I mean, Osprey, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess Osprey would probably be the closest thing.
Yeah, because I
Kenny
remember
was
back in the day.
Kenny basically hit like, how do I explain this? Kenny had the striking ability of like basically like Aleister Black, but like the speed of like freaking. He had the speed of like who would I compare him to? Probably Speedball. It's just their style, but the combination of that together. But he had the crispness, and this is what made him so unique. His crispness. What I mean by that is like his ability to hit the moves that he hit the way he hit them was like only a couple people could pull it off right. Like Okada was one, Ace was one. At some point, Kota Ibushi was one, Naito was one, where every move felt like it killed. Kenny was like that back in the day. I would say his top peak was like 2016 to 2018. That Kenny was like unstoppable. Like he was just phenomenal in the every sense of the word. Probably closer. Actually, now that I think about it, he's probably closer to AJ Styles. He's like if young AJ Styles and then later AJ Styles combined, but had the height and strength difference. And like that's kind of what made him so unique. But again, his biggest enemy was always himself. Same thing with Kota Ibushi. That's why they're such good bedfellows. Where Kota Ibushi has injured himself more times than anyone can count, and Kenny, these injuries that he sustained over time, I don't feel bad for, because he was suffering from these injuries for years and he would not get them looked at or checked out. Like he went into, famously in the G1 Climax 28, which I think was in 2017 or 2018, he went into that match and into that tournament, the full tournament, did not tell anyone. He was wrestling the entire time with a broken ankle.
Oh, Jesus.
The entire time. And then by the time he got to the finals, he had separated his shoulder 3 times.
Oh,
and
God.
he just kept popping it back in. And his cure-all was doing that heat cup thing.
Yeah.
And he thought, oh, that'll get rid of it. Like, no! Go to a doctor.
Oh, God. Yeah, now I remember there was some interviews with him when he was around. It wasn't. I mean, it's when AEW is still in infancy, but he's still been around for a while. I did remember he was saying he had a bunch of injuries he had to get looked at, but he knew that if he did so, he would be gone for a good long while, and he was still kind of new to AEW. He wanted to get enough time to get a good, long, proper run, which I think was that belt collector run, so that so people know who he is and all that kind of stuff, so that whenever he's gone for half a year to get looked at, he'll still be remembered, and he'll come back. He'll be like, "Hey, Kenny's back," instead of what was that dude again? Oh yeah, he was in like a month or two in AEW. Who's that fucker? That kind of thing. He wanted to build up that momentum first for us,
Right.
newer American fans and all that.
Right. And I think it would have been better. I think it would have been better if the first year of AEW, if he hadn't, because his contract had ended with New Japan, if he didn't sign up with AEW yet, but if he didn't sign up with anyone for a solid year, just full recovery, and then give AEW like a year, their stride. They already had Jericho. They had the workings. They had Jericho. They had Cody. They had the workings of something different, something unique. Give it about a year. Cut to, and then John Moxley came in a Double or Nothing or whatever. Have about a year, and then by the time the year's up, he's already fully recovered. Everything is good. Then he debuts at like All In or All Out or whatever the half and half, all in, out, in, out, whatever, in and out burger. I don't care. Whatever it was, have him debut there. It would have been insane. Everyone would be like, oh my God, it's getting Omega or whatever. But
oh God.
no.
Now I want AEW All In event, and the sponsor is In and Out Burger.
No. Because there's the thing. I also, but again, I'm just semantic.
Hey, but the Double or Nothing with the double.
With a double half, yeah, like it's like get a 4x4, and then you get hit by a 2x4.
What's referring to their double burger, double and double.
It's Darby Allin eating a 4x4 while falling into a 2x4. That actually would be pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, but well, honestly though, seriously, I'm like, I was just looking it up. I'm like, I didn't realize. I'm like, no wonder that match felt like it dragged a lot. It was like almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it did. And it felt like it. I mean, I don't mind long matches. I'm a New Japan fan, but it felt like it was 30 minutes, and it shouldn't feel like a long match. There's a way to pace a long match to make it not feel long, and this one kind of dragged. It wasn't bad. I just felt it was kind of, it was okay.
So the next match we got here is now Jon Moxley versus Bandito for the AEW Continental Breakfast Championship, as Jack likes to call it. And yeah, it was a pretty decent match. I did like to see how Moxley would go up against a luchador with the flippy shit and stuff. Again, I do like that all these matches, now that I'm noticing, all these matches with the faction members have been like staying out of it, so that's good. Let me see. Of course, Moxley. I mean, it was a good match at first. The grappling, the back and forth, the whatever. But then, it devolved with the blood here and there, and Bandito's mask was almost like torn off and everything. And I mean, that match was hanging on by a thread by the end of the match. Because it was just too many things going on, and too many headbutts, and too many whatevers, and I don't know how that thing was still staying on. And I think wasn't Moxley threatening to take it off or almost tear it off or something like that with scissors or something? Like it was.
Didn't you like that? I think he like stabbed it with scissors or something, didn't he?
Yeah. So
and then he kept recreating his favorite moments of Five Nights at Freddy's and kept doing bite of 86, bite of 86, bite of 80. I'm like, yeah.
Oh God. Oh no, not once the bite of 87, Jack. But oh God,
87.
I can imagine if they do that little cutscene with Markiplier. You've seen that one, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Is that the bite of 87?" It's like half a scene where Jon Moxley is biting and someone said they just, "Is that the bite of 87?"
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking of that clip. I was like, "Is that the bite of 87?" That's what I was expecting that to happen when he was on the top rope and he said he was biting him. That's literally what I was thinking. I was thinking of that clip with Markiplier. Is that the bite of 87?
Oh my God! There you go, guys. There's your Markiplier reference for the year. But oh man, but yeah, a pretty good match and everything. And unfortunately, Moxley won. I would not have minded. I would have preferred actually if Bandito won the match. By this point, Wendy was long gone. She was just zonked out. She was watching the wrestling match on the other side of her eyelids. But yeah. What were you guys' thoughts on the match?
I'll let you go first, Johnny.
I wanted to enjoy this match because Bandito's in it. and I like Bandito, and I like the promotion they're giving him. I like the fact that he's a regular on Ring of Honor Fight Club, right? This is the Honor Club or Fight Club?
No,
I
Honor
forgot
Club.
the name of the show.
Honor
Okay,
Club.
Honor. Okay, but John Moxley, it's just too bloody. It was interesting though, because the fact that holy shit, like, John Moxley is about to rip off Bandito's mask off. I was thinking, oh my God, what would have happened if he ripped it off? Like that's like the big suspense behind all of that. So I wanted to enjoy all that. I wanted to enjoy the suspense of that match. But the fact that it's so bloodied up and John Moxley just wants to keep having a bite out of Bandito, literally speaking, it just takes away the enjoyment of that match. I just didn't really like that much. Personally, I don't really like most matches that features John Moxley for that reason alone. So that's what I think about the match. It kind of sucks that Bandito lost the match because it would have been very impactful for Bandito to have won this match, considering that he got humiliated and getting his mask getting bitten off and getting the mask almost ripped off, getting bleeded up. It looks like his eye got injured, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
So
Well, I guess it's because he had the mask but he still wanted all the blood to come out anyway, so that's probably why they did that.
But yeah, it would have been way better if Bandito had won the match.
I think the thing that irritated me the most about this match, I think the thing that really pissed me off about this match, besides the fact that it's just John Moxley in general, I mean, I'm glad it wasn't a title for title because Bandito is the Ring of Honor World Champion. But the thing that pisses me off is exactly that. It's the fact that you had to have the Ring of Honor World Champion look like a chump compared to your AEW talent. And I think like the most recent pay-per-view that they did before Global Wars, it was the most recent pay-per-view before Global Wars. There was a really crazy good match. I think it was the main event. It was Bandito versus Mystico for the Ring of Honor World Title. It was a fantastic match. And Bandito retained. It was a great back and forth. I think it was like a 38-minute match. It was a crazy good match. And then Bandito wins the belt. He's celebrating. All of a sudden, Swerve Strickland comes in, attacks him, and they go, "Oh yeah, because on Wednesday they're gonna be in the fight with the Owen Hart Cup." I'm like, I don't give a shit. That's AEW. Let that shit over there. Leave that shit over there. Let him celebrate. He just won his belt. He retained his belt. I'm like, damn. So with this, it's the same thing. I'm like, why even keep him as champion if he keeps losing? You know, I mean, like, why even keep him as champion at that point? I understand it's for Moxley's title. So I get he was going to lose anyway. But I think I was more irritated with how he won because he kept doing like, shady shit of like, oh, I'm going to use weapons. I'm going to do this. I'm going to bite. I'm going to do this and that. Because this is the other thing that also doesn't make any fucking sense. This goes back to the whole Death Riders thing. It doesn't make any goddamn sense because their whole thing is like, we're villains, but we're good guys, but we have honor, but we backstab, but we cheat, but we're honest. Make up your fucking mind. Which are you? Like,
you see, you just described most of Moxie's promos.
Exactly. And it doesn't even make sense because I'm like, your shit doesn't make any fucking sense. You can't be a backstabbing bastard over here and an honest, nice guy. You can't. That's like, hey, I donated $200. I donated $1,000 to a charity of a hospital I burned down. It's like, no, you're still a prick. Like, that doesn't, like, it's stupid. It doesn't make any fucking sense because, on a side note, and this will play a factor in the next match. So, I've been asking my roommate, because I don't watch Dynamite. I don't watch AEW. I see clips of it. What the fuck? And I really want to ask everyone this. True. What the fuck does the Death Riders do? The Death Riders gain helping Ospreay? Because I mean, truthfully, there should be a reason, but there isn't one, and it's like they forgot. Oh yeah, there's supposed to be a reason why. Like if it was like, oh, we're gonna help MJF because that way we'll get a title shot. I'm like, okay, it's stupid, but there's a reason. There's that scene in that's it's like that scene. It reminded me of that scene in the new Supergirl movie with Lobo, where she goes, he kills people for no reason. No, I'm sure he has a reason. He just kills people for sport, and that's a reason. Like that's kind of like that. I was like, yeah, technically, like, but because this is the other thing. Like the Death Riders are like they're not sure if they're villains or heroes, and you can't be both. And then what's happening is they're like trying to be like, oh, Will Ospreay's like, oh, I'm a good guy. I'm this. Oh, look what the Death Riders did for me, bruv. Boo, 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 boo. And then in New Japan, Gabe Kidd is attacking people and beating the shit out of them and like full on assaulting them and saying, oh, this is for the Death Riders. I'm a Death Rider, bro, a Death Rider. And I'm like, wait. And then you cut to AEW and then John's like, we're men of honor who do... What the fuck are you talking about? Like, ain't that your boy over there? Yes, but he beat the shit out of him and broke his ankle honorably. No, he didn't. He's a piece of shit. It doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm getting at. And just in the same way, Jon Moxley does not make any damn sense. And I was even saying this to Johnny. The Death Riders seem less like an evil heel faction and more like a bunch of older dads who see a bunch of young kids wearing punk rock shirts and go, that ain't real music. Let me tell you what real music is. You ever heard of the Sex Pistols? You don't know the Sex Pistols. It's like, okay, Grandpa, you need to back the fuck off, all right? No one cares. And the match, it was just such a clusterfuck, because I'm like, you're waiting for Bandito to just hit him with, like a bunch of moves, and then, like, it's like, Johnny, did it feel like to you Bandito was, like, not able to do any of his actual moves he normally does?
Yeah, he was very slowed down. He wasn't, bouncing
felt that way.
Like he wasn't able to do any of his normal shit he does, because his whole thing is like rebounds and bouncing off the ropes and flips and drop kicks and stuff. He didn't do any of that. It was just Moxley going. You know who I realized Moxley reminds me of? Moxley reminds me of Bluto from Popeye. I'm gonna get my Popeye. Like that's what he reminds me of. Anyway, what'd you think, Mark? What'd you guys think?
Like I said, it was a good match, but then of course it evolved into the blood stuff. But yeah, Bandito didn't do lots of the flipping and rebounding, and I was kind of curious a bit because, I want to see how Moxley would go up against Mr. Flippy Shit, and we didn't get enough Flippy Shit for that and everything. But, the usual stuff. But yeah, that's the thing now. They're trying to talk Ospreay into joining the Death Riders, and Kenny's trying to talk him out of it and everything. And like you said, their thing doesn't make sense. I guess Moxley's promos are mostly about like how AEW's like, jokes and silly and whatever, but no, you gotta be real, man. You gotta, do what it takes, and you gotta be willing to spill blood for this company like I do, and blah 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 blah. And, and like you said, it can't be talking about honor while doing cheap shots at the same time, and yeah, I don't know. It's a to do and everything. Do you have any thoughts on that, Johnny? I forgot if you spilled your thoughts yet, like how Moxie spills blood.
I just I just told you guys about the match. I didn't really like all the blood
Mm.
and him biting Bandito all the time and trying to.
Taking
I
a
mean, the
bite out of
only
pride.
saving grace the match had was the whole suspense that, oh, shit, he's gonna take off his mask, or the possibility of him taking off his terror mask. That was the only thing that I found the match to be really interesting, because in terms of like Bandito, like he didn't fall all the way because obviously he had to compete versus slow John Moxley.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I was thinking since Bandito is a Bandito, you know, they always get the wanted posters. You know, John Moxley want to take a bite of the crime. That's why he kept biting him and everything. But yeah. All right, guys. So next match we got here is Shota Umino going up against Pac, singles match for the AEW GP Global Heavyweight Championship. IWGP. And thank you, Wendy. And yeah, you know, it's a pretty decent match. I haven't seen Pac wrestle in a while. That's the thing. I haven't seen some of these guys wrestle in a while, and not like on actual like one-on-one matches without outside interference. We didn't get no, you know, Claudio coming in and doing the big swing and leaving or anything. So it's a pretty, you know, even match. And yeah, it's a pretty good match. I don't remember too many spots. I know Pac was trying to do the Black Arrow as usual and things like that, but nothing really stood out too much for me. I do see that. Hmm? Oh, what was the ending? When you pointed out that the audience did seem pretty lackluster at the end. Shota Umino won the match. He defeated Pac and got the title and everything, but no one there was like not much, I guess, reaction or anything from the crowd for something like that.
It's because because at this point, they were 6 hours into an 8-hour show.
Oh God.
Because you got to remember, this is the thing I was talking to Johnny about. This is the thing that I was even bringing up to my roommate, is that it went. You have to remember, this is the problem that AEW is having, and you could tell the audience is getting fatigued. Is they film Collision, then the buy-in, then Forbidden Door. That's 8 straight hours
Oh God.
in the same arena. Like, they are exhausted. I think by that point they should start selling smelling salts with their popcorn. That way they can be like, all right, like, because like honestly, I'm like, dude, that's even I as a wrestling fan, I'm like, dude, I gotta take like every now and again for me, because that's another thing. It was like the pacing of it. If they had done, yeah, if they had done, okay, if they had done the John Moxley match and then done that tag team match earlier here, then do the shooter match after, it would have been better paced.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because you can't have a hard-hitting, bloody punch match followed by a hard-hitting punch match.
Yeah.
The audience is going to be like, oh, yeah, remember when he got on the top rope? Which time? Which guy? Who are we talking about now?
I remember when Wendy, Johnny, and I went to see AEW. It was like that. We saw the taping of Ring of Honor, and then I think the actual Dynamite, and then either Rampage or Collision. Because right now, okay, Collision wasn't around yet. So yeah, so we got to see Ring of Honor, Dynamite, and Rampage all in the same, you know, all in one city, and everything.
Yeah, and I'm like, look, there's got to be that's audience. That's fatigue. That's a lot of wrestling to sit through. And you gotta pace it out with your audience, like at least give a break in between or something. Like, I don't know. It's irritating because like you can't do that to your audience. Your audience is like halfway in between. They're like fast asleep, and they're like, "Damn, what the hell's happening, man?" Because Shooter is the IWGP Global Champion. He's the second biggest belt in the company. And he is a fucking phenomenal talent. He's gotten so good in such a short period in over the past 2 years. before it just felt like he was doing a copycat of Moxley's moves or a copycat of Ospreay's moves, and now he's actually got his own style. He's got his own gimmick. He's got his own thing going on, and the audience are connecting more with it. And well, Pac's good in his own way. He's like, I would never say Pac is a top guy, but Pac is a guy that you could put against almost anyone, which is good, which says a lot to him. He go up against anyone and kind of still look good. But again, I think the timing of this match was really off. And you could tell the match was like, they were trying to get the audience engaged, but the audience was just out. They were like, just like, you could tell like Pac was like, yeah, and they were like, I think I saw like 4 different people, like when it cut to the crowd, like half of them were like this.
Oh, no.
And then I saw a couple people on their phone. And I'm like, that's sad, man. Because this would have been this is a great match. A great match. The part that made me laugh was the very end of the match. You know, I was happy he won. But the part where Moxley was coming in because you're like, you weren't sure what he was gonna do. Because remember I told you about Gabe Kidd attacking people? He attacked Shooter after he won the belt. And then he's like, oh, you ain't defraud us, we're defraud us, like, you know, whatever. And then, like, all of a sudden, Moxley, who's the leader, tries to cut in and talk, and then Tanahashi comes up. Moxley gets all scared. I started laughing because it's like, he wasn't scared of Tanahashi. He wasn't scared of Ace because he's afraid of him as a wrestler. I laughed because in my head, I made a joke where I'm like, he got scared because Jon Moxley is bald and Tanahashi had great flowing hair and cut it. And he's like, why would you do that? You monster.
Okay, I must have missed that storyline.
Like, yeah, no, the joke is that, you know, because he's scared because Tanahashi cut his hair because he's no longer a wrestler. So he's got like kind of shorter hair. So the joke is that Moxley, because he's bald, he freaked out about Tanahashi cutting his hair. Like, no, you monster! Some of us don't even have that.
No, jeez. We were talking about that the other day. I can't even see him as Dean Ambrose anymore.
Yeah. If you look, I bet you money if he looked like he had the stomach flu, he'd look like Dean Ambrose.
Oh, God.
Because that was the thing. Every time I saw Dean Ambrose, you ever notice, if you look at old clips of Dean Ambrose, he always looked like he was sick. You know?
Yeah.
They put that kind of baby oil on him, but it didn't work right with his face. So because he was kind of paler. So he just looked like he just had a massive stomach bug before the ring. And he's like,
Oh,
I'm gonna beat you up. And you're like, oh God, don't puke on me. Get away. Get him away. It's like lunatic Fringe. Did you say Fringe? Like, it's like, no, get back away.
Oh, God.
But no, I mean, that's the thing is like, yeah, I know he's wrestled longer in AEW than he ever did in WWE, which is funny to me. It's actually statistically proven he lasted longer in AEW than he did in WWE. What? Hey, more power to him. But back to this match itself.
Well, I was gonna say, for better or for worse, he is like a bigger deal, you know, in AEW than he was
has more
in
control in AEW too. Yeah, I agree. But the thing I'm saying is like, I feel like the problem is I feel like certain people that are around him, like a Pac or Cesaro, I don't think. How do I put this? I'm trying to say this without sounding like a dick. I realized something, and that is that the wrestling world hyped these guys up too much to the point where they started believing they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. and believing they were better than everyone else. And it kind of ended up biting them in the ass. Pac is a good example. Cesaro is a good example where they'd be like, oh man, if only they'd given him a chance. If only they were giving him a chance. And I go, I feel like they never would have been a top player in any major company because of the fact that I don't think they have what it takes to break that glass ceiling of a character. Not as a wrestler, not as an ability, but as a character. It's kind of like, it's a weird comparison. It's kind of like what I think with like Lance Storm. Like Lance Storm was a guy or not, maybe not Lance Storm. Like it's like a guy like a guy that you would be like, oh, he's a good dude. He's a really reliable worker. He put on a great match with whoever. But does that make you a top guy? Not really. Because you got to actually have something unique that makes you stand out. And if you don't, you kind of get lost in the sauce. And unfortunately, Pac is one of those guys. Cesaro is definitely one of those guys. And it sucks because you're like, you want them to be better, but they're not. That's the sad truth of this. They're reliable. They're good. No discredit on their abilities, but they're just never going to be top guys. That's all. But then again, neither is like guys like MVP. And guys like MVP, he's a legend. Shelton Benjamin, he's another guy, amazing talent. Never will be a top guy, but that's some people, they just can't recognize like, I'll never be a top dude. It's like, and that's fine. No disrespect on you. I'm just saying, some guys just can never be top guys. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Well, like they say, not everyone can be a top guy. You know what I mean? So now this is a match I was looking forward to the most, and this is probably the one that made me actually like consider, like purchasing the pay-per-view and everything. So we have Thekla going up against Starlight Kid, and of course Thekla is the current AEW Women's World Championship champion, so that title's up for grabs. And also, like I said before, her people were not like interfering; it was just one-on-one Thekla and Starlight Kid. So there's also some backstory here and there where Thekla was, I don't know, kayfabe, not kayfabe, whatever Jack can tell me, but she was fired from, I think it was Stardom and stuff,
Yes,
because she was too extreme or whatever, and she like attacked like the Stardom president. And then there was another time where she actually randomly appeared in Stardom in some event last month or last couple of weeks, where she once again attacked the president, even though she was fired and banned and not allowed to build whatever. She still snuck in and did her thing. So here in the crowd, the president was attending, and of course, Thekla got all up on his face and everything. And so it was a good match. Starlight Kid had a good match there. They did a couple of very cool, very close call submission moves and everything. Thekla did some of her, heel tactics and stuff. And near the end, when she finally won the match, she actually got to take off Starlight Kid's mask. Of course, she covered herself up, and the refs came and whatever. And she, she spat into the mask and she rubbed it all over the president's face and knocked him down and everything. So I don't like that fluids and stuff. But I mean, she could have just rubbed the mask in his face without doing the extra whatever. But anyways, yeah. So she did that, and I had to say personally, hey, Thekla was looking pretty good in that match, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't know. She just had that wild, dangerous look. You know what I mean? But that's. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, she has a wild, dangerous look. Is that someone that you want to ask out or nothing because she might kill you? But in this particular event, she was like, hey, I tire a drink, after Wendy clobbers me.
But I am so happy that they're using Thekla to the best of their abilities. I'm happy that she is exactly the injection that this division for AEW needed. She is a top character, top villain. Obviously, her skills are amazing. I agree with you, Mark. This was a match I was hyped for the most. I love Starlight Kid. I have always loved Starlight Kid. She's probably one of my top two, if not top five at least, women's wrestlers. In fact, hold that thought. You go ahead, Johnny. I actually have more to say. Just give me 2 seconds.
Okay, so for this match, I really loved Starlight Kid. This is the first time I've seen her in this match, and I think that she's very, very charismatic. She's very technical. She's very fast. She's very agile, and I just like her whole gimmick. I liked her mask. I liked everything about her. So yeah, that was a very good, intense match, and it's cool seeing her for the very first time. Now Thekla, oh my God, Thekla is such a powerhouse. She's so ruthless, and she was, I believe, even beating up the what's the name of that wrestling promotion?
Stardom.
Stardom. Yeah, she was beating up the Stardom promoter because I
President.
guess because I back because I guess the backstory was that he fired her
Yep.
during
So,
Stardom.
I'll get into the backstory in just a sec, but
Yeah.
I want to show this off. This is a gift I got from a friend who got it for me for my birthday. This is a signed
Wow.
kimono picture of Starlight Kid from 2023.
Hmm. Wow, that's
So,
cool, man.
yeah. So,
Oh, that's
I
pretty
actually,
awesome, dude.
yeah. Yeah. So, I was this close to meeting her at WrestleCon, but unfortunately the tickets sold out. So, anyway.
Mm.
So
Oh,
the
real quick, while
backstory.
we're in the topic, who are the two wrestlers on your shirt, Jack?
Oh, that is. Let me see. This is during the first New Japan Stardom historic crossover. So the main event was a mixed tag team match, and it was Micah, who you guys saw earlier, and Hiroki Goto, who a lot of you guys will see in the new Street Fighter movie. He plays the Honda. He's
Oh,
also
wow.
going to be in the G1 Climax. It was those two tagging versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, Ace, which you
Hmm.
guys already know, and
Yeah.
Utami Hayashishita, the Red Queen. She
Oh, cool.
is basically if Okada was a woman. Like
No,
she is a
but she
freaking
actually wants to be
beast.
there, right?
Oh no, she's actually like yeah, she's like legitimately amazing as a wrestler. But yeah, that's so it's Red Queen and Ace. So anyway,
So the
uh,
intergender match then, huh?
yeah, it was a tag team intergender tag team match. Anyway, so the backstory with the whole Starlight and Tekla thing.
Mm.
Starlight Kid, first of all, uh, 2 years prior, Starlight Kid and Tekla were a part of a triangle of a rivalry. It was between the three top high speed wrestlers. High speed is quick pace wrestling, where the title for the high speed championship in Stardom can only be defended in 10 minutes, and it has to be quick paced. In order to be in the high speed fight, you have to wrestle quick. So those two were two of the three top high speed wrestlers. The biggest rivals were Starlight Kid and Azumi. You guys probably remember Azumi?
Yeah.
Okay. So their rivalry was like even. But Tekla came in and she kept beating Azumi, but could not beat Starlight Kid. So their rivalry was always like, no matter what she did, she could never beat Starlight Kid. She was the monkey on her back. She could never beat her no matter what. At some point, Tekla left a faction called Donna Del Mondo that was head by Julia, and she joined the evil group Hate, a group that Starlight Kid was a part of originally, and then she got kicked out of. It all culminated in Tekla going into a match against Kurara Sakura. She was the last champion before the current champion of Stardom, the top champion. She was also, they made a deal with the match. If Tekla lost, if Tekla won the match against Kurara, it was for a title, for the big belt, for a big belt match. If Tekla won, Kurara and all of Cosmic Angels, which were the top good guys, had to disband.
Oh.
The group was done forever. But if Thekla lost, she had to join Cosmic Angels and be all cutesy and wear tutus and yeah. And Thekla lost the match clean, and she went fucking apeshit after the match. Full on was like, no! And like hit everyone with chairs and went crazy. She's like, no. I want a match with you. And she points at the president. The president's like, what? No. And she dragged him by his coat and threw him in the ring and started beating him with the chair. And he literally got on the mic, and like all of Stardom's roster came out and saved him. And he got on the mic and said, Thekla, your ass fired. And then they're like, what? What do you mean? And they're like, he's like, and so they kicked her out of Stardom. So that's how she got fired. She got fired because basically she attacked the president because she didn't like the ending of a stipulation of a match.
No, God.
But in reality, her contract was up in real life. But that's the storyline. Then cut to when, ironically, I was up in Vegas most recently for the Stardom show they had in Vegas, Stardom American Dream. Star Dream America or whatever. The president came out and was like thanking everyone for coming out, and he said in English like he thinks that Stardom is the best women's wrestling on the planet, and the lights go out. Thekla shows up, beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, I remember seeing like the news reports and the videos of that
He's
one.
like, I knew. He's like, you son of a bitch. You fired me, and I'm not. It's like, you thought I was done with you? I hate you, and I will destroy Stardom, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you already know what's been going on in AEW with her and all that stuff. Then she went back to Japan during their last major show, which was Stardom Conversion. And as the president was sitting there, she sneaked up behind him with a beard trimmer and tried shaving his head and chased him out of the arena. And then that's when Starlight Kid came out to defend her. And then, obviously after this whole thing with her ripping off the mask of Starlight Kid and then still attacking the president, obviously her whole thing with Stardom is not over, obviously. My thing of it is, I think more than likely what's going to happen is I think it's going to be, I think the person that would make the most sense to fight Thekla would be Hanan. Hanan is like the leader of Stars, which are like, they are like Cosmic Angels were good guys. There are somewhat good guys. Stars are like the good guys. Like they are like straight as an arrow. Everything's like, we love everyone. We represent Stardom. We love you all. And then Hanan is currently the Wonder of Stardom champion, which is like their second biggest belt. So I think what's going to happen is more than likely it'll be like Hanan versus Thekla and put both belts on the line or something like that. I think that's eventually what's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen because it also would, or they might build it up by having like, what are they called? The Sisters of Mercy? Is that what they're called? Sisters of Fate or some shit?
Of Sin?
Sisters of Sin?
Yeah. You mean with Julia Hart and Sky Blue?
Yeah. So I think they're going to have
called now.
I think they're going to have Sisters of Sin versus Stars because Stars has a lot of members, and they'll probably have them fight each other, and then like that will build up to a match with their belts on the line. That's what I think is going to happen, which makes a lot of sense because since they already said that Stardom is now shifting with Bushi Road, they're focusing more on more live entertainment and better streaming services. And considering they're still working with AEW, I think AEW is going to help them kind of elevate their product more, which I agree, which they should. Because like to this day, like Stardom doesn't have a normal reoccurring English commentary, which sucks. And I wish like if like New Japan, if AEW can help them with that, I'm 100% behind it. I'm like, hey, you know, if you pay it forward, it's all good. I think that's good. And like I said, Stardom is like the make or break for a lot of the best women wrestlers on the planet came from Stardom for a reason.
Yeah.
you guys have seen the results of it. You've seen the results over the years. I mean, hell, Io Sky just won the Queen of the Ring, and she's like a god in Stardom. So, that's the thing. I'm like, I also believe that either that will happen, or I also believe it's possible that another theory I have is that I think it's going to be at All In, and I think it would be really cool to do it this way, is to build up, because she's having this whole feud with Stardom, and say, like, have the president say, this is what I would do. The president comes out and says, the president of Stardom comes out, tells Thekla, at All In, I have talked to Tony Khan, and he has agreed that you will be putting your belt on the line by a person both me and he truly respects, that holds principles to the ideals of Stardom and is better than you in every way, and will take that belt off of you, and will be making her AEW debut at All In, Kairi. Think about it. Thekla versus Kairi at All In. Come on.
Oh, that'd be insane.
The pop alone.
Which, of course,
you would get so many people to watch that pay-per-view just for that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you could have Thekla lose the belt to Kairi, build up a couple feud, have her get it back. You can do a lot with it, And like I said, Tony Khan not signing Kairi would be one of the biggest blunders. Truly. Like, she's like, the hashtag "We Want Kairi" was trending for like 4 months.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so like I said, but that's what I would do. I think that might be the next case scenario, what they're going to do, but I could be wrong. But yeah, overall, I love the match. Wasn't as quick paced as I wanted it to be, because normally their matches are like, but I understand they got to slow it down for American audiences. But I'm glad you guys like Starlight Kid, because that was what I was really worried about. I'm like, will they like Starlight Kid? Because I love Starlight Kid. Yeah. I truly believe she's one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet, and her speed, it gets better when she's in Japan. She's so quick, and she's so interactive with the crowd. That's what I love about her too. But what did you think of the match, Johnny?
I did talk a little bit about the match, but yeah, it was pretty good. I did like seeing Starlight Kid for the first time in the ring, and Thekla is just like, holy shit! Don't mess with Thekla. Like, she's heavy. And yeah, it was a very good match overall. But it also makes me kind of curious to see how much faster Starlight Kid actually fights in Japan compared to how they did it here, I guess.
Yeah. I'm excited to see her, and I hope she wins the 5-star Grand Prix. I'm really excited for that tournament. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in that tournament.
So the next match we got here is now Copeland Cage, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, for the current AEW World Tag Team Champs, I believe, going up against the Dogs, David Finlay and Clark Connors. And yeah, it's a pretty good match. It's good to see them wrestling together and everything. I know one of the previous pay-per-views, it went against FTR, and the stipulation was that if they lose, they would never have to tag team ever again. And to be honest, I'm surprised they won that one, because I was thinking, like, the stipulation is like, okay, they can't tag team ever again. Doesn't mean they can't wrestle as singles. You know what I mean? But no, they still won. They got the title and all that. One thing I do notice, it's hard not to notice, is that I guess Cage can't really go that much in the ring. It's obvious that Copeland is like the powerhouse, the guy that does most of the things, while Cage kind of comes in and, when they're throwing haymakers, or he'll do like a little cheap shot here and there, something to remind people that, hey, I'm in the match too. And then most of it will go to Cope. And he was like the one guy that gets ganged up on by the tag team, and until he finally makes a dramatic save to tag in Cope and everything. And so yeah, that's also going on there. But yeah, Jack, you could probably comment on that. I do feel that Cage is kind of like, he's a bit limited in the ring. That's why even back in the other days, he was always, it was more like Luchasaurus and them doing the heavy lifting for him. He just comes in and just cheap shots and kicking the balls or whatever. And so the big thing is when the match ended, the lights suddenly went out, and when they came back on, we saw the Young Guns and what's his name, and Juice and some other guy I don't know, and you can probably fill in the
Ace
blank for
Austin.
there. Oh, Ace. Okay. Then the lights went out again, and they came back on, and Switchblade came back, Jay White, and he attacked the guys there. So that was an interesting way to kind of end that. And of course, the big thing that, oh my God, Switchblade is back, he's back, or whatever, and hopefully he's used okay this time. We'll see how it goes there. But yeah, what are your
I
thoughts on
will
that,
say,
Jack?
okay, well, first of all, I want to say I'm sick of the revisionist history that people are getting wrong, severely wrong, about the Bullet Club, which is that their version of events is that Finlay ousted Jay White and became the leader of the Bullet Club. No, that's not what happened. What happened was Jay White had a match in Japan. If he lost the match, he had to leave New Japan. Then he had a match against Eddie Kingston, and he had a match in Japan, which if he lost, it means he could never wrestle in Japan again. And then he had another match against Eddie Kingston for the New Japan Strong Openweight belt. And if he lost that match, he could never be in New Japan ever again. So that was the condition. And he had lost to Eddie Kingston, and I was really heartbroken. It was in San Jose. I know because I saw it live. And he was in San Jose. He was about to get on the mic. He was about to say something. Lights go out. David Finlay comes out, whacks him with the shillelagh, and then Gato comes out, and then basically he says, like, he's the new leader of the Bullet Club, and da-da-da. And then Jay walks off in the sunset. So Jay was already out the fucking door. So he can't be like, it's the version that they're saying is like, oh, Finlay betrayed him and he took his throne. I'm like, he was already leaving. It's kind of like someone going, oh, well, I fired you the day you quit. And it's like, well, I'm already quit, so who gives a shit? It's kind of, the version of events don't make any sense. Anyway, as a little random aside. The match itself, I will say, I do agree. Cage, first of all, he really shouldn't be wrestling anymore. There's a reason he stopped wrestling. It had to do with a never-ending strew of brain injuries, and it caused nerve damage. So that's one of the reasons he doesn't wrestle as much as he did. And you could tell he's very limited in the ring. That's why I think they put him in as a tag team. But I also feel like he shouldn't have to wrestle anymore anyway, because I'm like, dude, it's kind of, like I said, it's that same thing I was saying to you before, where, like, if you're nearly 50 or you're in your 50s, you really shouldn't be wrestling at all, period. Maybe be a manager, but that's about it. But I don't think you should be in the ring at all. But that's me. I thought it was a decent match. I like that they were using the dogs, the War Dogs proper. I refuse to call them the dogs because that just sounds like they're selling hot dogs to people. I know they're the War Dogs to me because they were the last members. They were the last Bullet Club run. I like Clark Connors. I always have. I've always thought that he was a very underused, underappreciated talent. He's very good, very crisp. I love his spear. It's very clean. I like David Finlay. I think David Finlay is also one of those guys who's a very, very versatile wrestler. He's very how do I put it? He's very much he's really good at like reversals and grapples, but he doesn't do too much flashy shit, which I like. It's kind of like more grounded, but it's like he does enough versatility to make it different.
I remember the commentary kept saying that he was talking shit about his dad or something recently in promos.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he keeps saying shit about his dad, about how he basically was saying like, oh, my dad's a piece of shit. He never helped me. He never did anything for me. And then I never made a dime off of my dad. And his dad, I guess it was like a jab at WWE. because they have a faction currently going on in NXT called Birthright, and their whole gimmick is that all of them are Nepo babies, which is true. So it's, I forgot his name, is Isaiah something, Isaiah White or something like that. And his real name, he's actually in real life David Finley's younger brother. He's actually David Finley's younger brother in real life. There's him. There's Charlie Dempsey, who is William Regal's son. There's Ariana Grace, who is Santino Marella's daughter. And then Lexus King, who's Brian Pillman's son. Or Brian Pillman Jr., you probably remember him. So that's what Birthright is. Their whole thing is like, oh, it's our birthright. We're owed it because we're family, whatever. You know, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. They're heels. They're whatever. Anyway, so basically, like, David Finley got all butthurt, and it was like, I never made a dime off of my dad's name. My dad and and then Finley literally responded on Twitter going, "Is that why you wrestle under my name?" Got you there, man. You do call yourself David Finley. Yeah. Like, you got him there, man. I'm like, you kind of got you there, man. You can't really deny that shit. Like, I'm not using my daddy's name. I'm like, yeah, you are. You still got his name, bro. It's like, you know, it's just really funny. But honestly, like I said, I thought it was a decent match. I'm happy Jay's back. I hope they use him proper. I doubt they will, but I hope they do. If it's anything like they did before, I'm just hoping his contract ends sometime soon so he can go to NXT. Anyway, what did you think, Johnny?
It was an all right match. I wasn't too invested into the match. You can tell that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, I always get those two confused. I don't know why they always look so similar. But anyways, I didn't really see much from them. Like, it's very noticeable that they're very limited now. Now that you told me the backstory of why, you know, they're not fighting as much as they used to, is because, you know, the brain injury and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, yeah, you can already tell that they're not really quite there anymore. And I was just more impressed with the dogs. I know it sounds like a hot dog stand for some reason. I was more impressed with the dogs, with David Finley and Clark Connors. I think they both are very talented wrestlers. They have stage presence. They have really good fighting techniques. Like, I don't know, they just looked way cooler than they just look way cooler than Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. It's like, I don't know, they just seem kind of boring at this point, you know? Like, I don't know.
What are your thoughts on what's his name? On Switchblade coming back, Jack? I remember you weren't too fond of how he was treated in AEW beforehand.
I just hope, like I said, I'm happy he's back. However, based off of their track record in AEW, I have very low to minimal hopes that they will use him proper. I mean, considering they basically destroyed his career with the, you know, broken man beats you. Like, you can't really recover from that shit.
Bro chachos.
Oh, God, yeah. That stupid, dumbass gimmick. But I'm like, I was hoping, you know, I'm hoping that they'll use him proper. But my hopes at this point with Jay are more, I hope his contract ends soon so he can go to NXT. Because honestly, I think he'd be better off there. I mean, like, the fact that he's been gone for 15 months and nothing has changed with his gang or his group, that right there tells you enough to know they don't give a shit. I think they just wanted a pop of like, hey, someone returned. Oh my God. Granted, I'm happy he's back. I mean, it's been 15 months, which is crazy. Because, you know, he's never been that had an injury that severe, and I'm hoping it's not going to affect his skills in the ring. But I'm curious, but I'm not optimistic.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it.
All right, so now it's time for the triple main event, which I guess, I mean, in my opinion, the whatever closes the show is the main event, but you know how they like to do the thing here. So we got the I believe it's the Owen Cup thing again going on, and so right now we got Mercedes Moné going up against Maya World for the women's Owen Hart Cup final, and whoever wins the match is going to get a title shot at All In for the AEW Women's World Championship. So, of course, there's another match I wanted to see because I wanted to see Maya World in action and everything. And yeah, that was a match that Wendy was actually awake for. And it was a pretty good match. It was pretty intense. Lots of good back and forth. Monet was put through her bases and everything there. So it was a pretty good match there. Unfortunately, I don't remember. Well, I do remember a lot of the close calls with the bank statements and everything. Monet had her stuck there in a good while. It was very suspenseful. Maya World actually reversed it and put her in the bank statement and everything, and that was pretty close. We were waiting to see if she would tap, because of course the irony of her tapping out to her own submission move, but then Mercedes pushed the foot up the ropes, spin it around, and got her in the statement and everything. And yeah, unfortunately, despite all the back and forth and things, Mercedes did get her to tap out. She was too far from the ropes, too much damage done to the arm and whatnot. So she retained. But I do remember all the close calls. But that was the part I remember the most. The irony of had Mercedes tapped out to her own submission move. That would have been kind of interesting to see. But Maya was also doing some other type of weird submissions and holds and things like that earlier on too. So it was pretty intense match there.
I like this match. It was really good, and to my surprise, Mercedes Moné actually fought really good in this match. Like, her moves really looked lethal. She did look like she went all out against Maya World, and I like Maya World too because she's also very energetic, and she's very powerful. She's very strong as well, and just seeing them both fighting this match was very good and very intense. And it's way better than the John Moxley fight. I would have to say that.
Well, yeah, and also no blood. So
And actually, I like the way Maya World fought in this match. I like her charisma. I like how she's kind of taunting Monet. Like, when she got beat up, she's also topping the dance and all that crap. So that was pretty cool. And what really made this match really good is in a way, we kind of knew Mercedes Moné was going to win the match anyways, because she always has to win a match. But it was a challenge for her to get to that point. Like, she could have lost this match many times. So this match actually made Maya World look really good, actually. Like a very good, formidable opponent. So I like the match. And
Yeah,
I feel like
I agree. Sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to finalize by saying that it looks like maybe Mercedes Moné is trying to take herself more seriously compared to how she was portrayed in the past. So maybe that also has something to do with it, because she just looks way better now. She fights better. It doesn't look as gimmicky and as silly as she was before.
Right. I think that, yeah, I do agree. I think, sorry. I do agree. I think that her whole style has gotten cleaner. I think she kind of needed to be humbled for a long time, and maybe the time she took off mentally humbled her. I hope it did. I wasn't familiar at all with this Maya World girl, so I know she was kind of new, and I know she was a replacement because originally it was supposed to be Sari. And when I saw the bracket originally, I was like, if Sari loses to Sky Blue, I'm going to say, fuck this place, because Sari is like such a top tier level talent, and I was really expecting her to be in it. But again, due to injury, Maya replaced her. I'm like, okay, I understand that now. So I was pretty much going into this match blind with her, not knowing her abilities, but I was impressed. I was very impressed. I thought she was very talented.
Forgot another thing they had with Maya World is that they revealed that her brother recently passed and stuff, so they were kind of going with that angle that she's fighting now in his memory and his honor because he supported her. So that's why I was thinking at first. I was talking to Wendy. I'm like, okay, so Mercedes is that champ. The title's down the line, and I mean, it would be too repetitive for her to get another fucking title shot. She just lost the title like a week ago or something, relatively speaking, and it's like with all that going on, Maya World has to win this match. It looks like it's being orchestrated that she would be the one to win this match, but yeah, that didn't happen. I forgot about that she had that thing going on.
Yeah, I know. I heard about that aspect of it, but I'm also thinking like I say this with respectfully. Mercedes has more draw power, so unfortunately, her name would make more sense to marquee All In. But again, that's me. I'm just saying that her name has more draw power to get people in the arena or whatever the hell they're playing at. But I was more concerned. What I was concerned with was whether or not this girl was going to look like competition to Mercedes, or if Mercedes was just going to make her look like a flop and have her job and get sloppy. But no, she actually did. She actually made her. She made her look legitimate. Maya did a really good job. I liked that. It felt like they were even playing field in this match. Even though obviously it's obvious Mercedes has more of an edge just purely based off of experience. And Maya, is a little greener. She's not bad. She's just needs a little more time in the oven, so to speak, as far as in the ring. But it could have been either way. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was happy. I was sad that Maya didn't win, but I'm also understanding of why Mercedes won. But again, that's me. I don't think she should win at All In.
Oh my God, I hope
not. Because the whole bullshit with her and having and didn't I call that? I called that to you guys all those months ago. They were going to do shit with her winning all of those belts, and I fucking called that shit, didn't I? They didn't do anything with it. It was completely pointless. But because of that, they should never have her win a belt again. But again, they probably will because Tony doesn't have any original ideas, and Mercedes says that they're friends, I'm sure. He's like, I love my friends. It was a good match. It was a decent match. I enjoyed it. It was a good match.
Okay, so the next match we had here was Death's Door match, which is Team Briscoe, led by, of course, Mark Briscoe, got Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Konosuke Takeshita, which I guess he's now out of the Don Fallis family. That's something I missed out on. We haven't been watching Dynamite enough. And Darby Allin.
Apparently Okada. Yeah, they chose Okada over him, basically.
Darby Allin's there too. And they go up against this I guess, mega team of DC MJF, which is basically Don Callis, MJF, and they got their, homoerotic shirts on with the shirtless Callis and shirtless MJF or whatever. He loves those paintings. And wrestling is not gay. I don't care what y'all say. Wrestling's not gay. Anyways, we got MJF, Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, Jake Doyle, Okada, and Andrade and Idolo. And the whole thing is that if Team Briscoe wins the match, that earns Briscoe a spot to get a championship match against MJF at the next episode of Dynamite or whenever they decide to do that. Which spoilers, of course, Briscoe didn't win. But anyways, the match was in a big circular steel cage, and to tell you the truth, this is one of the AEW clusterfuck matches that I actually enjoyed. It was a lot of fun. Me and when you were actually watching it, we enjoyed it. I think that since they were, confined to a cage, it was a lot easier to figure out what was going on. It wasn't like those, stadium stampedes where the cameraman doesn't know who to keep track of, whatever. So everybody's in the cage. The cameraman did a lot better work this time. They weren't doing the thing where someone was going to throw someone, but the camera cuts away, or the camera shows that, oh, MJF did something, the guy's knocked out. And, we didn't have any of that shit, So that was good. And, yeah, lots of spots. But the thing that got us the most with the member berries, oh, God. So they had the little backpacks and things full of things that you would expect to be like the typical, like the thumbtacks and whatever else. But these guys, they had the original Nintendo Entertainment System in the backpack with the fucking controllers, and the funny part is, before they hit someone, they grab a game cartridge, blew in the cartridge, put it in the console, and socked someone in the face with it. And when we were just laughing, I had to blow in the console first, and they were like choking people with the controller wires and swinging and bopping people with the controller. It was fun. That was the most part I liked before they got to the more predictable stuff. They always got thumbtacks in there. So yeah, they got the thumbtacks and things. I think Briscoe was the one that took it. Oh, dude. Darby Allin took the thumbtack spot, but it was like face forward. Usually you get like back slam into him. He was like face forward. He had him all over his chest and everything. Like, damn, And then MJF got a big old, like those big type brooms, like those janitor type broom mops, whatever you want to call them, to usher out all the thumbtacks out of the ring. There's some tables outside. I forgot who, but someone eventually did get blasted through the tables, and that was a pretty intense move there. And yeah, so another thing that was happening during the match is that Andrade does not like, to be told what to do. So there were a couple of spots here where MJF kept bossing him around, and they had mini face-offs and stuff. So in the end, he had, I guess it was Briscoe. He had Briscoe. Well, one of the other guys had Briscoe. Let me try to remember. It was one of the says not Okada. Oh, Jake Doyle had Briscoe for MJF to finish him off with the diamond ring or whatever. But I guess just to be an extra douche or to be extra like don't forget I own you now, whatever. He was demanding that Idolo to do it, But Andrade, backstabbed him. They knocked out MJF. He got pinned. He lost. Briscoe's team won, and that was cool. Lots of cool spots. And of course, the predictable spots you would expect that there would be times where Okada and Takeshita would face off, and people would be like, yeah, because they get to fight, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a good match. Oh, and of course we have, because Darby Allin's there. We had Darby Allin and one of the guys, I think it was Doyle, climbing the top of the thing there and trying to fall and stuff and whatever, like you always do. And it was funny because Wanya and me were watching the anime Hunter x Hunter. And I don't know if you remember, like the original anime went to a certain point, and then like the remake goes past that point. So you're watching the very final episode of the anime. Sorry for any spoilers, but it's old, Gon was climbing this super high tree that reminded me of like Goku climbing the Korin Tower back before he could fly and all that. And we were joking that what we needed to see in the background or something is fucking Darby Allin doing the coffin drop, just wee off the background or something, since he's always jumping off super high things. You just see Gon climbing, and you see random dude just falling off in the background. And when he was like, yeah, he would be doing that shit. When he would be like fucking coffin dropping off the tallest tree in the world. But anyways, what were your thoughts, Jack? I know you want you. Oh no, actually, let's let Johnny first because you probably got a special rant prepared. But I'm sorry before you say anything though. I enjoyed it, and out of all the clusterfuck type matches they've ever had, I think I like this one the most, to be honest. The fucking Nintendo, just got me. But anyways, Johnny, what do you think? Yeah, you're playing with power. What one he was saying.
Okay, so this match, my memory's going to be very foggy because there's just like, a lot of shit going on in the match. But I did like the deathmatch ring because now it's kind of it looks kind of different. It looks more like a round ring.
Yeah,
Like it's more
steel
rounded up.
cage.
Yeah, the steel cage looks way different than your regular steel cage match, so that's kind of interesting. And the only thing I remember is that Darby Allin's just acting crazy as usual, trying to climb up the ring, and looks like he has like a feud versus, let me remember, Kevin Knight, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah,
Like I like I
Kevin
enjoyed
Knight
that
was
portion
there.
of the match.
He
Huh?
turned heel or something.
Yeah, he's in the Don Callis family. Kevin Knight.
So I actually like that portion of the match because I felt like that would have been a good match, like a standalone match, like Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight. Like that would have been way better than the freaking Briscoe. I mean, versus the John Moxley fight. They should have done that one instead. But of course, they had to feature Darby Allin in this um what is it, steel cage match?
Yeah.
But yeah, if they didn't do that, I mean that would have been preferable. Darby Allin versus oh, I'm forgetting these people's names. Kevin Knight. MJF's like whatever. Like why? Like I don't even care about MJF. But yeah, the matchup was very crazy with the whole like them joining the Nintendo on the ground, and then oh oh yeah, wasn't there a lot of gimmicks in this match? Because then they pick up the backpack and then they drop a whole bunch of nails to the floor, and then you know how that goes.
Leo Rush was in the fucking body bag
Yeah,
type.
that's what I was waiting for you to say. There was two major dumbass spots in that whole show. There was so many dumb things that happened in that match. But anyway, go on.
But yeah, I remember that one too. Like what the hell? Why is
Leo Rush
what's going on here?
Yeah, Leo Rush was in the duffel bag. They pull his ass out, and he did the and I'm like, why the fuck are you here? And then, oh, you forgot the dumbest fucking spot. What about where they climb on top of the cage and they have Darby's special bag and it explodes?
Yeah, the exploding gimmick bag thing, and it was Kevin Knight, wasn't it? That fell off
the whole match.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here.
Yeah, go for it.
This match was a clusterfuck for a multitude of reasons that don't make any goddamn sense. First of all, why in the fuck they're fighting is such a stupid reason. But that's a whole other can of worms. Second of all, it dawned on me halfway into the match why this cage looks so fucking stupid. Two reasons. A cage match is designed to enclose people into it. It's a cage. But this one was circular around a padding around the ring. And I've realized, and Wendy will know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can ask her to verify this, it looked exactly like a toddler's playpen.
Did the circular ring look like a toddler's playpen?
Yes.
Okay, she agrees. She's half awake, but she agrees.
Yes. So I'm like, how are you going to be like, woo, woo? I'm like, you just make me think of like, oh no, not the toddler getting out again. He might get into the peanut butter. That's all I'm thinking. And then also, again, there was a couple, I'm like, okay, that was interesting. The Nintendo thing was funny. I did think that was funny. I was laughing at that. It kind of reminded me of that happened with there was a match, a little bit of a tangent. There was a match a couple years during the pandemic where it was Moose versus Matt Cardona, and it was a nerd box hardcore match, which was basically there was a bunch of boxes of different shit that they could use, and they were all nerd themed, scattered throughout. And someone had a box of Legos, smacked someone through it. Another one had, but the one that made me laugh was Matt Cardona had a box, and he opened it and he poured it on the ring. And it was a bunch of those old LJN action figures that were all busted.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
he slams Moose on them, like the rubber ones, like bow. I'm like, oh. But that's what I was thinking of when I was thinking of that point. Again, Leo Rush thing was fucking stupid. There's literally no reason to have him there. I told this to my roommate. I go, so they're basically just turning Leo Rush into the new Danhausen. Basically, is what they're doing, right? He's just a darker Danhausen, but his gimmick doesn't really make any sense because it's like, okay, he's corrupted evil, but
He's like the
he's
boogeyman or
goopy,
something.
but he's not. I'm like, what is he? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, that's the thing. He reminded me of the Boogeyman, Papa Shango, and I was thinking that just a third. That you just nailed it. And Danhausen. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, he's a dollar store. He's a dollar store Pennywise. That's what he is. Anyway, I did laugh at the shirt when Andrade ripped the shirt that said "fuck fuck DC and fuck MJF." That was funny. That did me laugh. Again, I mean, like, this the thing is, like, with cluster matches when there's more than 6 people, it's already a clusterfuck. So I was like, okay, but I do agree to a point. This was probably the least clusterfucky of all of the matches they've had like this. But it doesn't necessarily make it a good match. It just made it kind of a funny one, I guess. I don't think this should have been on this show. I think this match could have been on a Dynamite, like a Collision show. This match did not need to be on the card at this point in the show, especially considering you could tell even the crazy shit, the points where the match relies, the craziness relies on the reaction of the crowd. The crowd were almost all asleep. They were like, explosion. I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
You have a full-on explosion. You have a guy getting thumbtacks in the face, and he's like, oh. Anyway.
Yeah, and there were no like New Japan or CMLL guest stars amongst the teams.
There was no reason to have this match at Forbidden Door. There was no reason to have it. Like, the whole point of Forbidden Door is that it's a forbidden door. Like, that would have been funny. If I were in this match, that's a thing I would actually do. Is I would get on the mic halfway into the match when people were knocked out and literally go, I know all of you are wondering, why is this match on Forbidden Door? And then go under the ring and pull out an actual door and it says forbidden. It's like, I told you it was for Forbidden Door right there. Like, some stupid. If you're going to go stupid, go full stupid. Is my point. It's like, dive deep into the stupidity. I'm just saying, like, that would be fun. But again, yeah, this did not need to be on the card. It did not need to be. I will say this was probably the worst match of the show, honestly, in my opinion.
Oh wow!
Either this or the Moxley match. The Moxley match was bad because it was just kind of bland. This match was bad because it didn't need to be on the card. Because the card was so bloated already. And especially when we get to the main event, it feels even more bloated. But I'll get to that when we get to that.
Any additional thoughts, Johnny? Because we both kind of jumped in there.
Okay, well, for this match, unfortunately, I don't remember 100% what's going on because it's just like a clusterfuck. There's just way too much shit going on at once at the same time. But I kind of agree with Jack Knives. Like, either this match didn't need to happen because I think even like the Darby versus Kevin Knight would have been a more interesting match, in my opinion. Or even if they were going to still do this I'm just gonna call it the death match, steel cage match, whatever. They could have done it earlier in the show, not so late in the event, but way earlier while people were still awake. Because I think even by then I was still maybe getting a little sleepy here and there, so maybe that's why I don't remember the match too much. So I don't know. That's the way I see it. I think that match should have been done way earlier and not so towards the end of the show. Because unfortunately, they hyped this match so much they made it seem like, oh shit, I can't wait to watch this match. And I was interested. Hey, the big round steel cage match thing going on. Let's see how that works out. And then the actual match just turned out to be really silly and really gimmicky. And I don't know, it's just too much going on.
All right, so now we go to the main event, and I do have to be honest, by this time I was like kind of zonked out. It was a couple of things. Number one, it also just so happened that this pay-per-view and all the other wrestling stuff, because there was lots of wrestling this weekend and everything, was also happening at the same time as EVO 2026. So I was a bit distracted, during the Friday and Saturday. I was still watching, some of the things. I didn't want to commit the whole day to watching, because sometimes Wendy and I do sit and watch the entire top tens and all that stuff. But this time we just, wanted to chill. We didn't want to stay stuck there, especially with the pay-per-view, that commitment, But we did see a couple of things. We did see trailers and all that kind of junk. And what I found out, because the thing is with Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves, no, I'm sorry, City of the Wolves, Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star was added to the game, but it was kind of a question of, okay, when is he coming, like officially coming out for you to play as him? Because, it was slated for June. June was wrapping up. What's going on? There's trailers about, he's coming soon. He's badass. He's whatever. But okay, but when can I actually play as the guy? You know what I mean? So between me nodding off a bit during the, Swerve versus Ospreay match, and me finding out that Kenshiro was going to be officially available once the City of the Wolves finals ends, like once they determine the champion for EVO or whatever, he'll be available to play. I just didn't care anymore. I was like, so now I just wanted this to finish, because it's like the moment this thing finishes, I'm going to hop on and download Kenshiro and do a couple of matches to see how he plays. So I was so distracted. The only thing I remember of that match is that, and it was probably near some good time in, they're both bleeding like hell. And I was even asking Wendy, like, okay, so do these guys take blood thinners or something? Because it was like water. It was like just red water just gushing out of both of them. They were both bloody messes. And that's another thing, too. It wasn't for that, maybe I would have been more invested, but I'm like, oh, they're doing all the blood stuff and, the camera close-ups, and I don't want to see all that and everything. So unfortunately, I don't really remember any particular spots or nothing. I heard the Swerve music going on, so it's like, okay, he won. I think he did, wasn't he? Oh, no, it was Ospreay.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah.
Ospreay won.
And yes, this was also the men's Owens Hart final, and of course, whoever wins this is going to get a title shot at All In for the AEW World Championship. That's another reason why I kind of knew that Briscoe wasn't going to win, because I don't think they were going to do that. Ospreay versus Briscoe, main event, All In, doesn't sound, for better or for worse, like you said before, MJF is the bigger draw, so I guess, you know what I mean. But yeah, so what do you guys think? You probably have a much better play-by-play.
So if I were to call this match anything, I would say it's bloated. What I mean by that is it was literally just, how do I put it? They were like spamming finishers almost the entire match. It was, I counted at least 8 different finishers that Ospreay did to Swerve, and 4 of them were at the final part of the match to win. He did, I mean, granted, it was a good back and forth. It was a great back and forth for so long. But again, like you said, like they got cut open. Both of them got cut open early in the match. So by the time the end of the match, which was, I was even looking up, the time of the match was 35 minutes long. So it was like a 34-minute long match. So they literally were just gushing blood near the end of the match. And he did Osprey did this thing as a tribute to Hangman, where he did a buckshot, a hidden blade, which was kind of like what? And then he did the Death Rider, the paradigm shifts, and it was like I said, it was weird. It was so weird. I was like, this is a weird way to close out the show. Like the match was like very, again, like I said, bloated. Because not only did you just come off the back of a death match, which that match would have normally been the end of the show. Like that kind of like really, really think about it. Like how many pay-per-views has AEW done where like the Collision Clash or whatever, the Stadium Stampede or whatever the fuck, that's usually the last match because it's such a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But then they did a match after that, which is the Owen Hart finals, and like it just literally I could just see a strew of audiences truly trying to care. But at this point, I think they were more invested with leaving. And it was just such a bloated carcass of a fucking show and a match. I mean, because at this point, like, they had to have been there for somewhere between 8 to 10 hours. And you could tell the fatigue from the crowd. And I'm just like, I could feel it. I'm like, because I had to watch, okay, full transparency here, folks. I don't want, when I watch these pay-per-views, I kind of split them amongst other wrestling that I'm watching. Because I do try to marathon them, but then I do marathon them on occasion. So Forbidden Door, I literally set time aside specifically just to watch it.
Mm.
But my main primary, I didn't watch Forbidden Door live. I watched it the day after, because the day of Forbidden Door was NXT Great American Bash. That whole show was 3 hours long. And the match with Kendall Gray and Lola Vice, which was the main event, was about similar to the same length as this match. But it felt 10 minutes shorter. But because it worked so well, their pacing, their striking, their hitting, their momentum was shifting so much that the audience could feel it. And they're like, okay, who's going to win? What's going to happen? Like, you're invested. But I also think that has to do with the fact that, again, you can have a good show, but you can't have an overdone show. Like, there's a reason when you have multiple bands on a forum, you can't do a single night. You have to split that into a festival, multiple night event. Forbidden Door, some of these matches didn't need to be on the show. They could have been on a Dynamite or a Collision leading up to it. You know, it didn't have to be Forbidden Door. Like I said, the last match did not need to be on the show. The Bandito Moxley match did not need to be on the show. Hell, even the Young Bucks tag team match, that match didn't need to be on the card either. If you cut those 3 matches out, I guarantee you by the time this match came on, everyone would have loved it. But the thing of it is like I was even like having a person who put full time aside to watch the buy-in to the main show, to the end of the show. I was drained. And I looked at the time, I'm like, I've been watching this shit for 4 or 5 hours now. And I'm just like, I should not be sitting here thinking like, when does it end? And I know everyone's gonna be all butthurt and go, but the moves, but the swerve dance, but bruv. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's all great and fine and dandy, but I'm like, you can't force your audience at gunpoint to watch this shit. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was at gunpoint. It wasn't a bad match. It honestly was a great match. It just, again, the placement, the timing, the where and when it was did not need to be here. It did not really even think about it. Did the Owen Hart Cup finals need to be on Forbidden Door at all?
Not really.
Literally, the finalists of both of them are contracted to both finalists of the women's and men's were both, all of them were contracted to AEW. They could have just happened on Dynamite. They you could have had what isn't Dynamite like 2 hours? Is Dynamite like 2 hours long
Yeah.
or 3 hours?
Yeah,
Two and a half?
it's 2 hours. 2 hours.
Okay.
They don't have 3 hour
So 2
shows.
hours. Okay, so it's a 2 hour thing. What they could have done was they could have had, hey, we're gonna have the Owen Hart women's finals. We're gonna have it on the Collision before Forbidden Door, and it's gonna be 30 minutes, a 30-minute time limit, commercial free. You're like, whoa, and it's at the top of the card, top of the show. Hell yeah, everyone would be invested in that shit. And then say the men's finals will be on Dynamite. Hell yeah. Same thing. 30 minutes, uninterrupted, top of the card. Boom. Everyone's invested. Everyone wants to see that shit. It would have been more over. But to place it here,
You're thinking because they wanted, like the finals to be in a pay-per-view, but what they should have done is they should have, scheduled it better so the finals would have been all in instead.
yeah.
Have the finals in all in, not this one.
Well, they wanted the finals because they wanted the winner to go to All In. So I'm just saying.
But they could have worked it out. They could have, whoever wins here goes all out or whatever's next.
They could have had the finals on the Dynamite after Forbidden Door. They could have made Forbidden Door its own separate thing. All the competitors that were going to be in the tournament cannot be at Forbidden Door. And you would have been fine. But by the time they did these matches, everyone was already bloated. Granted, Maya World, Mercedes Moné, great match.
Yeah.
Placement, timing is everything. And both of those matches would have been far more appreciated on Dynamite than they would have been at Forbidden Door.
And also,
I still
the
stand.
Mafia versus Bandito, because Bandito, he's not a New Japan guy or whatever.
Yeah, he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. Like, who gives a shit? So it's like, it's dumb. It was dumb. I just, like I said, it was a bloated match, and it was a bloated carcass of a pay-per-view. It had a lot of great moments, and it had a lot of great matches, but it was so overstuffed to the point where it's like, it felt like someone's like, hey kid, you like Oreos? Yeah. Well, here's a 3-tier Oreo cake. You're like, oh my god. Like, that's what it felt like. Like,
and that's the thing too. We haven't seen it for a while, so we kind of forgot how like super long these things are and all that. And that's one of the main reasons we've been like not watching them lately, because it's just so you're like committing almost half the day to it. You're kind of get everything done throughout the day the most you possibly can, because once it's like 6 or 7 or something, bam, there goes the whole fucking rest of the day till like midnight or something.
And that's the thing is like, here's a good example. If New Japan and Stardom can have big shows that are at maximum 5 hours long, at maximum, and that includes 3 separate 10-minute intermissions, and an in-between transfer from pre-show to post-show. So, like, let's say I'll give it an extra 40 minutes. So 40 minutes altogether. 40 minutes of break time. There's no fucking reason you should not be able to do the same. You're a major corporation. You have a major company. You could be able to do it. It's not impossible. If it's like it's bloating too much. And I think that they should have just, like I said, they could have trimmed the fat for a couple of matches. I am happy with some of the representation. I'm happy that New Japan is gone from AEW, because now they actually get to thrive on their own. And I am hoping that AEW does work with Stardom as equals, but their track record says otherwise. I'm hoping that they actually do help elevate them, because I think Stardom, especially Stardom, and especially CMLL, helped elevate AEW at the show a lot. And New Japan did as well. I think they elevated the show into being more than just a regular pay-per-view. But again, that's just my thoughts. What did you guys think? I know, Mark, you didn't see the match. What did you think, Johnny, of the final match, and then your overall thoughts?
Okay, personally, about the final match, I wanted to like this match, and I think on its own, it probably was a good match. But by this time, I was already kind of getting tired, maybe zoning out a little bit, and unfortunately, it was getting to the point where I'm like, oh my God, when is this match gonna end? Not because I wanted it to end, but because the pay-per-view is too damn long. It felt like a 6-hour marathon. Now, this is another complaint I have about AEW pay-per-views. If they're gonna even go this route of making long 5 or 6 hours long pay-per-view, I think they should have at least scheduled it maybe earlier in the day. Because at least in the time zone I'm in, the show starts like around 4 p.m. ish or 4:30 p.m. ish. I forgot the exact time that it started. You have to buy in. So okay, that's kind of already wasting a lot of time. And then the actual pay-per-view is like 5 or 6 hours long. By the time the pay-per-view's over, it's almost time for bedtime. And you still gotta go to work the next day. So it's kind of like you don't really get to enjoy your day that much because more than half the day is watching this pay-per-view. And by the time it's done, it's like, oh my God, it's bedtime. I gotta go to sleep. That
That's the
doesn't
reason
sound like
why
a
I
good
really
thing for a
wish
pay-per-view, huh?
I wish they would do them on Saturdays instead of Sundays. And that's the thing I hate because when AEW was new, their pay-per-views were on Saturdays. I'm saying, oh, this is cool because unlike WWE, that they're on Sundays, we could, we have Saturday night, we still got Sunday to chill. But no, they're doing Sundays too, so it's
Well,
annoying.
unfortunately, not all workplaces. Well, okay, my job, I get Sunday off. So for me, it's not too bad, but it's the fact that you still got to work the next day. And it's like this pay-per-view, they put it so late. It's like by the time it's done, it's like you got to go to sleep.
Hmm.
And I think they should just air it a lot earlier if they're gonna go for this long. And pretty much like also like what Jack Knight said, there's several matches that didn't really need to happen. Anything that has the Young Bucks in it and John Moxley, we do not need it. We do not need to watch that at all. Just get rid of these people.
I will say the highlight of the show for me, and I think it was worth the price for it, was the Thekla Starlight Kid. I mean, like that really was like, to me, I'm like, that is the proper way to utilize your talent and make both companies look good. Because Thekla isn't the top woman, but Starlight Kid is not the top woman of Stardom presently, but she is one of the most top, like, popular women. She's one of the most over women in Stardom. She's one of the women that not just AEW, but everyone has been eyeing for years and been like, come here, like WWE's on her, wants her. AEW wants her. A lot of companies want her, and the fact that they got to utilize their talent for people who like you guys who are not familiar with her, but got to show off some of her abilities. And even though I've told you guys, I would say she wrestled at maybe 70% of what she's actually capable of. But even at 70%, she still carried and upped the ante in the women's division. Just like Thekla, she could help. She's one of those women who can help carry the division. And that's what you need in a promotion to thrive. You need people who can carry a company, because that's winning championships or getting your name on a poster. That's any idiot with a paycheck can do that. It's about the skills and the ability to keep a company successful. That is actual talent. That's actual skills. And if you don't believe me, ask AJ Styles. He did it for TNA. If he could keep TNA afloat for 10 plus years, despite all of their many, many, many financial idiocies and stupid decision making, if he could keep them afloat, that just shows the level of ability that he has with the other talent as well. But with AEW, They need to focus more on in-house talent, and they need to focus on using their in-house talent to the best of their abilities. I was honestly shocked that like here was a good example. I was thinking, you know what? I was even thinking about this the other day. Rewatching the pay-per-view. You know who would have been a better pick to fight Shota Umino for the IWGP Global title? Because that's the second biggest title in New Japan. It would have been better to have the Protostar, Kyle, have him fight Shota. That would have been a banger match. That would have been crazy because that could have been a back and forth. But with Pac, it's like I'm like sitting here thinking, as soon as you see Pac is going for a belt, you're like, he ain't getting it. We know he ain't getting it. It's Pac. Like, come on. You're not gonna put him on the. You're not gonna give him a belt. Let's be 100% honest here. But again, like there's so many things they could have done better. But from what it was, I thought it was okay. It wasn't the worst Forbidden Door, but it wasn't the best either. I think it was like somewhere right in the middle. Yeah, that's basically my thoughts.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered most of our thoughts because you didn't get to see much of the match, Donnie. And I think we all kind of went with the expression, our thoughts on how long the matches are. And that's the thing. I mean, oh God, like I knew they were long, but I forgot how long they were now that we actually committed and everything. And like, I don't know. Other times I would still check out like the scrum. This time I just didn't care. I'm using Kenshiro, man.
The only thing you need to know that happened in the scrum was Thekla was still wearing the Starlight Kid mask, and she was pretending to be Starlight Kid, and still calling out the president. And apparently, she also did it on Dynamite too, and she still wore the mask and called it out. And that it's basically all but confirmed. Like the battle between Stardom and Thekla is not over. Like I said before, which is good because that's like the most interesting thing happening right now. I'm like, they need to do more with that. Like if Thekla, because right now, here's a good example. Right now, they have 2 slots open for the 5-star Grand Prix. Their big tournament. There's 2 spots open. Maybe Thekla might go into it. Like that would be interesting. Like if Thekla was in the tournament. And then, it ended up the semifinals or the finals being her versus Starlight Kid. That would be shocking. But again, that's me wishful thinking. I always try to be wishful thinking when it comes to booking. But then I also remember it's Khan. It's Khan, and I gotta remember that little boy loves playing with his toys.
Yeah, and then put him away somewhere where they're lost after he gets tired of them too.
Exactly.
Hence the AEW milk carton.
Yeah. Hey, anyone seen Keith Lee in 2 years? No? Okay.
Oh God. Oh man. So yeah, it pretty much wraps it up, I think, guys, for this episode here. Yeah, I think we all kind of agreed that the best matches were definitely the one with Thekla and Starlight Kid, and I would still say the Mercedes Moné versus Maya World was pretty intense and everything.
Agree.
And I did enjoy the pre-show ones with with Olympia.
Yeah, I think the pre-show matches were at times better than the main show, honestly.
Even though the difference of opinion, I did like the clusterfuck match. It was fun. It made me laugh here and there. I mean, I could go without the thumbtacks because again, with the blood, with whatever. But I did like all those shenanigans and stuff like that. And I mean, just the Nintendo, man, they're playing with power. You know what I mean? You can't argue with. And I like the extra detail of him blowing in a cartridge first and for putting it as if it would make a difference, and just bopping. But one thing I do have to say though, one thing that does kind of bug me though is because whenever they do this, either in wrestling or movies or whatever other thing, I do feel kind of bad when they actually do mess up or break these old consoles because, they're clearly not making any more of them. And they're like, only so many left out there. So I do feel bad seeing, someone bash a Nintendo with a mallet or some junk for the sake of this or that scene or movie or wrestling or whatever, or
Yeah.
TV show. And
Yeah.
I do kind of feel a little bit,
Yeah. It might have already been broken though. That probably was why they used it.
Yeah, that's true. Mine still works though. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you know, Johnny, but ours still's working. And we did buy Tetris in Vegas. We can play Tetris one of these days. When we come visit.
I still got a Genesis and a Dreamcast that works.
Oh, Dreamcast. Oh, it's pretty cool.
It's a first gen too, so it's a first gen. So if you have the program and CDRs, you can actually make the games. So I have like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and the Die Hard game.
Oh wow. Yeah. But anyways, guys, that wraps up for this episode of the Diamond Cutter podcast. We'll see what other things we do, or we have any other, maybe the WWE ones because they're much shorter and stuff like that. So we don't know what's the next whatever. Maybe All In, depends on the card. Again, these matches with the Thekla one and stuff made me actually want to check it out. So we'll see if the All-In card entices us. But yeah, just keep watching the channel. We'll let you guys know. So this is Mark Rodriguez signing off here on behalf of the Diamond Cutter Wrestling Podcast, which is America's #2 cure for insomnia. And if you're having sleep deprivation, you're having the shakes, you're seeing like weird things because you're just haven't slept in 72 hours or whatever, watch the podcast. It'll knock you right out. And as for the other people here, our other members,
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
Johnny Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think Wendy's she's zonked out. And Ricky Rocks isn't here, so I'll just try real quick on behalf of both of them. So to close off the show, we got the main man, the man of the hour, the man at the tower of power, too sweet to be sour. We got my bro here, Johnny Rodriguez.
Johnny Rodriguez.
Yep. Catch you next time, guys.